Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Icealford, and this is my first DFS video that I made. And interesting enough, I forgot to turn the mic on. So this video looks crazy. I'm just, entering my lineups in, and you probably see me talking in the bottom left-hand corner, and my voice right now is not syncing with my lips. So yeah, I forgot to turn my mic on. So I'm gonna just kind of, I don't know, attempt to walk through what I'm doing, but probably not. Just give you a background on what I want this channel to be. I just want this channel to be helpful for people that want to play DFS, for people that may have been playing for a long time and they just can't seem to get better. There's a lot of interesting information out there in the world, and I do things differently. I play differently than a lot of people and those type of things. So I plan to just be making content. I'm gonna try this content game out, and I plan to continue to just make content for DFS, and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be weird, and I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I've been a profitable player now for 2 years. And I think I've been playing for about 7 or 8. I don't remember exactly. It may be even longer than that. But I do plan to show my ROI. I plan to show a lot of things, man. I plan to have a lot of study sessions on here, make videos of it, how I spend my time trying to study fantasy, different things like that. It's different. I just want to give people a different perspective on daily fantasy sports and what you can be doing versus what a lot of these touts are telling you to do. I don't know, man. The tout game is interesting and it's weird because when I first started off playing fantasy, I was definitely involved on the tout sites. I was listening to them. I was taking all the knowledge that they were giving, taking their picks. I'm gonna be honest, using their picks, those type of things. And I wasn't really successful by doing it that way. And there's a couple things that happened in my DFS life. So the first thing that happened that really changed my DFS life and my perspective on DFS is a guy named Manny Laura. Manny Laura used to do Twitch streams, and I would watch them every single day because I wanted to be a DFS player. I want to be full-time, and I wanted to be a DFS player. I want to be one of the best. So I was watching him, and he made a couple of statements. Number one, he talked about doing study sessions, which I didn't even understand how to study daily fantasy sports. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? So, he didn't necessarily teach about Fantasy Cruncher Rerun. I knew it, but he kind of showed how to utilize it, if that makes sense. So he always talked about Fantasy Cruncher Rewind and having study sessions. That was one thing. He also made a comment in one of his earlier videos when he first started, because I've been watching this guy since he first started. He doesn't do them anymore. I don't know what that whole situation is. He doesn't do them anymore, and I actually miss him, honestly. But he made a statement. So Manny used to work for a company called Fanvice, right? So Fanvice was a tout site. They would give you information and, picks and supposedly teach you how to play daily fantasy, whatever. And I was on that site for a while, and I hated Manny on that site. Like, Manny was so annoying on that site. I couldn't stand this dude. It's like, he is the dumbest guy ever. So on one of his streams, his earlier streams, he said when he worked for Fanvice, the only thing he did for his picks was, he would input his projections into Fantasy Cruncher. He would go through his process, his setup on whatever his settings were in Fantasy Cruncher, and however his exposures came out, meaning, his highest owned person, vice versa, however those exposures came out, that would be the picks he would give out to people on the site. So think about this. If you're a daily fantasy player and you're on a tout site, and these people that are quote unquote great or good at fantasy, are just putting settings in the fantasy cruncher, and whoever the top owned player is, they're then touting that to you as a pick. And they'll just say, hey, you know what? Like tonight, baseball. Walker Bureau, he's my number one player right now. As I'm looking at the screen as it's playing with no vocals. Walker Bueller. I tell everybody to play Walker Bueller because he has an average strikeout rate of 9 strikeouts or whatever per game. Blah 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 blah. So Manny said this is what he would do, and when he said that, it clicked. I was like, wait a second. All these touts are out here just like telling you these picks and why. Blah 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 blah. What if they're just putting these projections in the fantasy cruncher and they're just telling you who their top picks are that are coming out of that, and then they'll just give you some stats, exactly what Manny said, and I believe it. I totally believe it. I'm not mad at these guys or anything like that because these are the guys that they're playing. They're definitely playing these guys, but it's not as deep as they make it seem. That one statement of Manny's honesty on the picks that he was touting was eye-opening to me. He also made another statement. His other statement that he said was he doesn't want to learn about the sport that he's playing DFS in. He doesn't want to like basketball. He doesn't necessarily care about how basketball is played and vice versa. He cares about how to play daily fantasy sports, NBA. So NBA daily fantasy sports. What does he need to do to be good at NBA daily fantasy sports? Same thing with MLB. He wants to learn how to play daily fantasy sports. Not the real game, but how to play daily fantasy sports. That was something else that was just eye-opening to me, man. I was like, holy crap. Here we are trying to study the sport and defenses and all this other crap. Dude, I don't care. I don't care. I care about learning how to play fantasy. That's what I care about. I don't care about any of that other stuff, man. The weather in baseball and blah, 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 humidity rate. Man, I don't care. I care about playing daily fantasy sports and how can I get good at daily fantasy sports. So those, study sessions, the truth about how he touted, I don't know if all touts do, but how he touted was eye-opening to me. And stop trying to learn the sport, but learn daily fantasy sports. Learn how to play fantasy, man. So I just want to tell Manny, man, thank you for doing those streams. I miss you, bro. I will tell anybody when I become extremely successful at this daily fantasy sports stuff, man, all the props go to you. Dude, you are the one that did it. And you never gave out any picks or anything like that, man. It's just, man, just thank you, bro. The next thing that changed my outlook on fantasy was there's a pro, and the pro's name is, I don't even know how to say this dude's name, but he's one of my favorites. Giant Squid is one of my favorites, and Brontosaurus, dude, Brontosaurus Flex or something like that, bro. I don't know, but anyway, he's one of my favorites, and he tweeted last year. He tweeted out something pretty prolific to me. Someone on Twitter asked him a question, and their question was, if you had one piece of advice to a DFS player who wants to improve, what would it be? And his answer was, lineup construction, correlation / ownerships is much more important than any individual play in the majority of cases. Too many people get fixated on singular plays instead of the lineup as a whole. Joe, remember what I said about Manny and how he talked about learning how to play fantasy? That's what I'm talking about, man. You gotta learn how to play fantasy. These touts are telling you, this player here is in a great position. He's too cheap. Blah, 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 blah. Bro, learn how to play fantasy, man. take the advice from these pros, man. And that there, I have that tweet saved. Man, it's bookmarked. Yo, it was crazy, man. So, I just want my channel to give a different perspective on fantasy. I don't believe all these pros that we all look up to, I don't believe that they are sitting around studying football routes and how many targets people are getting in football, and I really don't think that they're doing that. They could be. I don't know. We really don't know. We don't know. But here's something interesting too to think about. Some of the top players in fantasy, we really have no information about them, who they are, where they are, and they're not really touting. Think about that for a second. Some of the top players in the game are not touting. I know Awesomo's touting. He has a site, but Awesome also has a team of other individuals that are touting for him. You know what I'm saying? But Awesomo's the number 1 or number 2 player in the world, man. So, the Chipotles, the giant squids, what's Chipotle's brother? Papa Gates, Brick, who's up? Ah, man. I can't think of. There's another guy that said some things on stream, man, that really changed my life. Come on, Steven. Oh, he just won the Millie. It's crazy. He just won the Millie. And he won his entry to the Millie off of CSGO, which is crazy. I cannot think of his name. But anyway. Oh, come on, dude. He's one of my favorites, too. He, on stream, said what changed his game was getting off of tout sites. Doing his own thing. Learning his own process. And just doing his own thing. And that's how he became a successful full-time DFS player. I'm a full-time player myself, but I am low volume. I do not have the volume. I don't have the bankroll that these guys have, man. But my channel is going to be the road to 100K. That's what it's going to be, man. What you see on the screen right now was supposed to be episode 1 or video 1 or whatever you want to call it of my journey to the road to winning 100K. That's my first goal, is 100K. I've hit 10. Have I hit 20? I don't know. But I've hit 10. So I've already hit 10. The next stop is 100. And you got to put the work in, man. You got to put the work in. I'm going to be taping my study sessions. My videos are probably going to be boring. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. My videos will probably be boring. But you can probably learn something. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. It's probably just going to be a lot of on-screen things. I'm going to talk in I'm going to try to vocalize what my brain is thinking and why I'm doing what I'm doing, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to remember to do that. But I plan to just push record, man, and just get to studying, trying different things, developing and improving my process on things. Man, it's baseball season. It's crazy because I thought baseball was my best sport, but when I go to Roto Tracker, it's actually not. It's my second best sport. NBA is my best sport, but I love baseball. The volatility and the randomness, I embrace it because it gives me a shot. It gives me a chance, man. I love it. But my editing's probably going to be bad in these videos too, man. I'm just starting, yo. This is my first video. But I just really want to show people kind of what these people that are playing fantasy for real, what they do, what they go through. You got to put work in, man. When I came up with my NBA and my MLB, my current process, man, it took me hundreds of hours to do that. And it's hundreds of hours of studying stuff. Let me give you an example. If you have an idea of how you want to play, there's two things you can do. You have an idea or some new strategy you want to try. Some people, and the tout that I cannot think of his name. What is his name? Oh my God. The tout that I cannot think of his name. I think he does this. If he has a new strategy, he'll think of the new strategy and he'll put money down into that strategy. So let's say he says, hey, you know what? I want to not put the point guard excuse me, in the utility spot. I want to completely eliminate that. Only want to put shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center into my utility spot. He goes and just puts money down on it. That's what he does. Me, and what I think a lot of other people that play all the time, if you have an idea, you have to go back to Fantasy Cruncher Rewind, and you have to get data and see how that outcome would turn out. Meaning, if I have an idea where I want to limit my NBA lineups to only 2 players from a team, and I just want to stop that, only 2 players, that's the most. So you can do 1, you can do 2, but you can't put 3 players from the same team. If I have that idea in my head for whatever reason, I'm going to go to Lineup Rewind, and I'm going to try that on as many slates as I possibly can. So like I have some ideas or some thoughts about baseball. I'm going to try each individual idea that I have for this entire season so far, and I may even go back and do all of next season. So just imagine whatever idea you have, you're researching that and you're getting data on that to see how that outcome would turn out if you did that, and if it's better than your current strategy that you have. That's what I want to show, man. I think that's what the pros do. That's how they spend their time. Every day they're sitting at the computer, they're coming up with different strategies, and they're just running it and seeing what happens. Fantasy Cruncher is great. Fantasy Cruncher lets you rewind. You get to see your profit, your loss, all of those type of things. And that's what I want my channel to be. I want my channel to be boring as hell and show the work that I'm putting in for daily fantasy sports. So when I hit this 100K, everybody can sit back and go through my YouTube channel, and they can say, yo, homie got crazy hours of sitting here on a computer, on Fantasy Cruncher, trying out stuff, and he hit. I just think that's what the pros do, man. I really do think that's what the pros do. I really do. But, hey, man, so far it's been decent for me. Like I said, I've been profitable the last couple years. I have no problem showing it because hey, man, it is what it is. I don't get why, these top players don't show their profit. Maybe they're not profitable. I don't know. Now, I'm not making no crazy money. I think I made, $16,000 one year and $16,000 another year, something like that. I've never made over 20. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I never made over $20,000 playing fantasy. But when I hit this 100K though, we off. It's going. Also, I haven't really been taking the risks. I play a small volume, man. I may play $1,000 a night. Just small volume. These pros that are hitting these big stuff, man, they are dropping bread. But man, we're gonna go into you're gonna see Lineup Rewind. You're gonna see my brain today is fried. You're gonna see Fantasy Cruncher's study tool that they have. We'll go through some different things, man. We'll talk about it, what we see from who won lineups. We're gonna see lineup reviews. This video right here, I am going to make another video right after this. We're gonna review how these lineups turned out that I put in that you can't hear me talking about. So yeah, man, check it out, and we will catch you next time. Appreciate you guys.